welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 175. I'm your host tonight, and my name is Shorty, and I have just one bean on the line in the form of Cracker. How's it going, mate?
Good, thanks, man. How are you?
Good. I nailed that intro for the first time in a few episodes.
Crushed it. Oh, that's all right. You know, it takes a little while to, get back into the rhythm of it. You've got there.
I did have Joffrey Bieber getting in touch with me today. We're talking about some Battle Spirit Saga stuff, but he was saying, it'd be so funny if you get Cracker to do the intro and he could say, I've just got one bean on the line here in Chewy. and just to get us all mixed up. So
yep, perfect.
We didn't go with that. We went with the proper, correct intro. Because
we're professionals.
100% we are professional content creators, and you are a professional influencer.
Yep, that's right. Mate, I have a hard enough time influencing my kids to go to bed.
There's no chance. That's one thing you learn very quickly as a parent, that trying to influence your children to do anything is a losing cause, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. All right. Well, what's not a losing cause, though, is Josh Pat's MTG Bazaar.
Mate, that is the most winningest place on the internet, that is.
Go for
JP
it.
MTG Bazaar. We love Josh and Pat's. We talk about them every week because it turns out they're still good every week, Shorty. I don't know if you've checked them out, but their stuff is amazing. They are a Facebook auction page with also claim lots for when new sets come out, and you can just buy cards straight up there. Pat puts up listings every night for different auctions that you can bid on, which are just legitimately great value. Like that, they are cheaper. We love LGSs, but you are better off buying singles from Pat, and they will probably get there quicker than you will get to your LGS. Plus, you get the sweet tokens, and you get to support us, because when you buy cards from Pat, then he gives us packs, and then we give them to you. So you just like free Magic cards. This is just a good deal. So come check them out. They are sponsoring our league, which has just kicked off recently, and also for the Envy, which is coming up shortly. So jpmtgbazaar.com, and when you do win some stuff, tell them that the Bean sent you.
Very good. Yes, we do have the Envy coming up. Not that far away, actually. I realised this week, it's like 2 months away, maybe.
Yeah, we should plan that.
Get some play mats, because we've got to order them from the States and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, but League has kicked off, and I've been cracking on with my matches. I'm doing pretty well, actually, with a list that I have stolen from Worlds, which we'll be talking about tonight. Mm-hmm. How are you going with your matches, Cracker?
I've almost started.
We'll just move on to the next topic.
I do need to. I've had a busy week, except for the last couple of days where I've not worked, but I've still been busy. Like it's those things where you're like, oh, cool, I've got some days off, and your wife just goes, aha.
Here's all the things to do.
Here's a list of things to do.
Yeah.
Yes. So, no, I'm definitely keen. We'll definitely get some matches in because, I mean, look, my deck wasn't represented at Worlds. It was,
I don't think anyone chose to play it.
I don't think anyone should choose to play it. But that's okay because I have fun with it.
At least, Cracker, you're not trying to organise games in the wrong channel like Chewy.
True, exactly. He's look, I don't know why he wants to come over and like battle all the good players over on our channel. Like, that just seems like a risky proposition. You can lose twice in each side of the league, I guess. There, Chewy, if you want.
Yes. Well, before we get into our main topics, I actually played in a tournament on the weekend, Cracker. Not for Magic. I played in another Battle Spirits Saga tournament. This was a Grand Open, which is sort of their equivalent of like a GP, but small, or I guess a regional championship sort of thing. So it qualifies you for the Pro Tour, and I didn't quite get there. There was, I mean, it's a new game that I've barely played, and there was a couple of core rules of the game that I wasn't aware of.
Oh no.
And tried to do something, and then had my opponent go, it doesn't, like, you can't do that in the turn. And it was like, what do you mean? And I call the judge over, and they're like, yeah, no, this doesn't happen. It's sort of like there's these flash windows where you can respond to stuff, or you get an opportunity to cast some instants effectively. And turns out, when you attack, there's a flash window, and then normally when you block, there's a flash window. But if your opponent doesn't block, there's actually no opportunity to cast stuff. So I was not aware of that, and that cost me a match, and that bumped me out of the cash, and out of potentially qualifying for a pro tour. I was all excited. I was like, I might be able to come on the podcast and be like, haha, Chewy, you are not the only one who's qualified for a pro tour.
Yeah. But
no, sadly not. But good mate, Rolling Royce, he was down for the weekend, and he finished 11th. He ended up with $500 US, so did very well for himself, and has that pro tour qualification, although I don't know if he's actually going to make it because it is in the Netherlands, and it's quite expensive on short notice. So, but cool weekend. Good to play something bit different, and scratch that competitive itch, and have a bit of fun and catch up with some whole bunch of guys from Wollongong who made the trip down, and we went out for dinner on Sunday night afterwards, and I took them all to the airport. So
nice.
It was good. We went out for Japanese. Nice. It was the second time that I'd ever eaten Japanese. I had no idea what I was ordering. And had to explain to the guys on the table that I have a bit of a reputation for being a conservative eater, I guess is a way to...
That's a fair way of putting it there, Shorty.
So it was interesting, but no, had a lot of fun, and great to catch up with some guys and just talk cards. So a lot of fun, but awesome. Not Magic, so that is not what we're going to be diving right into tonight. We are going to have a look at the World Championships, which also played out on the weekend. So...
It did.
Cracker.
Yeah.
Did you watch any?
I played catch up. I've been watching a bunch of the top 8 the last couple of days.
Nice.
So didn't get to watch any of it live, but kept tabs of what was going on, through social media and all that sort of stuff, as you tend to do. Seemed like a lot of people had a lot of fun over the weekend because it was also like the huge Magic Vegas Con.
Yeah, Magic Con Vegas.
Yeah, that's the one with the 100K limited event as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Which is pretty wild. But it seemed like a lot of fun. Kind of what I expected out of the metagame, I guess. I don't know that there were any real surprises.
No. Yeah, like there's a couple of decks that we'll probably touch on tonight that are sort of new, I guess, but it's sort of what we expected from the metagame, and nothing crazy any out there that actually sort of broke the metagame, which is not surprising. We have discussed before, we've moved to this 3-year rotation, which means we've got more sets, which means more cards at the sort of top power level, which tends to lead to just mid-range soup decks, and that's even more so prevalent at the moment because we still have the triomes in the format. I think they should have rotated.
Yeah.
They were streets, and that should have rotated.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of lends to, hey, we can just play $4 or $5 and go for it. So
the mana is really good, and there's just a bunch of stuff, in green, surprise, that will let you fetch out lands and things. That does a bunch of ramping. So domain decks are definitely a thing. Yeah.
So how did the metagame actually look?
So Esper Midrange was the most represented deck with 20 copies, so 19% of the field. And then Shorty. They all took inspiration from you, mate.
They did. They must have listened to the podcast and gone, Mono Red's back. Yeah, let's go.
Mono Red, let's go.
Yeah, let's have a look at the win rates in a minute, and we'll come back
to into that. Then there's Esper Legends, which is the same deck that we've been seeing for the longest time now. There's some small changes, but, it's still just a Rafine Urtai kind of thing. Domain Ramp, actually the same amount of copies. Golgarian Midrange, Mono White Humans, Rakdos Reanimator, Esper Control, Azorius Soldiers, and then just actually the bulk of the field, 24% of the field was just a bunch of other random stuff that people decide
ones and twos and threes of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So not dominated by any one particular deck, I wouldn't say. It's not
19% of the field that's fine. That's perfectly fine in a standard metagame. So
I would say so.
That's good. And it's not a deck that is broken. You'd say, oh, this deck's 20% of the metagame, and it's it's way too strong. We need to ban stuff. It's just a mid-range deck.
It's just a shielder deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of how it broke down in terms of the metagame, and then I don't know. Do you want to get into the top 8 or?
Yeah.
So there was let me see, was one by Jean-Emmanuel Deprat. Spoilers, everybody. Sorry if you didn't know that. He was on the Esper list. And then there was a couple of the domain ramp, a couple of Esper mid-range. There was Golgari mid-range, Azorius soldiers, and Bant control. So a bit of a spread. No aggro. I guess the soldiers deck is pretty aggressive. That was played by Nielsen, wasn't it? Simon Nielsen?
Yeah, Simon Nielsen. Yep.
Who's now actually just Player of the Year as well.
Yeah, I believe I think the first match in the finals, if Reed Duke won, he would win Player of the Year, and if Reed Duke lost,
he had to beat Anthony and then win one more. I think.
Yeah, okay.
I think they would have been tied at that point.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I think Reed had to go
how the Player of the Year works.
Yeah, there's a points thing or something. They had to go one better than basically to lock it up for Reed. So
yeah.
But that's kind of where they ended up. Esper Legends versus Esper Midrange in the grand final.
Excitement.
Well, no.
It's hard. Like you look at all these lists, and they're all actually good decks, and like they're enjoyable to play mostly, and they're generally good to play against.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about it that is just off-putting, though. And I don't know what it is. Like, it's really strange.
Part of it is I just feel like we've seen these cards for so long now.
Yeah, that could be it. Yep. Yeah, we're just looking at the same stuff we've been looking at for the last 2.5 years or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there are some new cards. I'm looking at, like, in Depras' list, he's got Lord Skidder, the Sewer King. He's got a couple of copies of that, but, like, that's it. That's the new card. Like, I don't even know if he's got any... Has he got any new lands?
Nope.
No new lands.
There's nothing new in the sideboard.
Nope. That's it. There's just two cards.
Two rats. Yep.
2 rat lords. So I don't know. Yeah, it feels like just more of the same. The Esper mid-range deck has got some Virtues of Loyalty, I guess, is kind of the other thing. He's also playing 2 copies of Lord Skidder. And then, 4 copies of the Virtue of Loyalty to go with the 4 copies of Wedding Announcement to sort of, make your stuff big. But it's still just like Shielded Rafine decks.
Virtue of Loyalty, actually, like a few games that I watched over the weekend was just ridiculous how strong it was. Like, if you just get a few tokens on the battlefield from your Wandering Emperors, your Wedding Announcements, your Lord Skidders, that sort of thing, and then just ending your turn and putting +++ counters on them all and untapping them. So, there's quite a few games where I saw like Denix that were like 7-9 Denix with lifelink sort of thing.
Sure.
Pretty strong. So, if you can go unchecked, then you end up with some very big creatures.
Mm-hmm. So you said that you'd been playing one of these lists.
Yeah. So
what grabbed your attention?
Obviously with the league kicking off, thought, okay, I need a list. So I jumped in and had a bit of a look, and first thing I looked at was Mono Red, and then we haven't touched on that yet, but Mono Red not so good at the moment. Had a bit of a look through the other lists and from what I'd seen on camera, and the domain ramp list that Reed Duke was playing just looked like a lot of fun. You're ramping with your Invasion of Zendikars and your Topiary Stompers and channeling herd migrations, that sort of thing, just to keep your lands flowing. And then, you're either just hard casting Atraxas, you're casting Archangel of Wraths, double kicked to deal the damage, you're keeping the board clear with Sunfalls, and eventually you're hitting enough mana to just hard cast Herd Migration. You're playing 5 colours, so it's not that uncommon that you're getting 5 3/3s out of your Herd Migrations. You got Leyline Bindings because you're playing so many colours. Virtual Persistence just brings either your stuff or your opponent's stuff back, and then this is what really put it over the edge for me. It's playing Up the Beanstalk.
Beanstalk.
I mean, if there's a deck in Standard that's playing Up the Beanstalk, it probably should. Probably should play that one just to rep the beans. So, I spent a bunch of gems and some gold and opened some packs to get some cards because I've not been drafting for ages. Got just enough wild cards to put this deck together, and been jamming it. Played a bit on ladder, did really well, and then been doing pretty well in my league matches as well. So the deck's actually, it's a lot of fun to play, and it has a lot of game. You know, there's games where it's like, oh man, I'm down to 3, I'm almost out of this, and then the next thing you know, you're on 35 life, and your opponent has no cards, and you've got 7 in your hand, and it's like, yeah, okay, I should be able to win this game.
Easy dubs. Yeah, this deck actually looks really sweet. You talk about standard divulging into mid-range soup. Well, the way to beat that is just go big. And this is the biggest deck, man. Yeah, this is easily the biggest thing you can be doing right now.
Pretty much. There's a few different versions of it. There was Willie Adel in the top 8 as well, who was playing basically the same deck, but playing some Nisses as well, playing more Courier's Briefcases, a couple of ossifications, that sort of thing. But also playing the Chrome Host Seed Shark, which...
Can I pause on that for a second? Are you looking at his list on the...
Yeah, it says that it's Luris. Yep.
Yeah.
Good job, Wizards.
Good job, Wizards. I'm like, Chrome Host Seed Shark. Yeah, that's the one that is Luris of the Dream Den.
Right. Sunfall says that it's Verger, the Judge of Valor as well. You know, it's not Wizards own all of this stuff and they can make their links right, but, you know.
Pretty hard to do. We all know what Chrome Host Seed Shark does, though. It spits out tokens that you can...
Yeah, it spits out the incubator
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Tokens. Yep.
Yeah, no, really cool. Quite often see that in the sideboard, so interesting to see that Willie's just gone, I want to maximize my spells in the main. So it's very cool.
Yep.
It's the best Leyline Binding deck. And
Leyline Binding's just so strong.
It's such a stupid card.
I mean, being able to cast it on turn 2 is ridiculous, and casting it when you've got an Up the Beanstalk in play is just fantastic. So, yeah, deck's really strong. I did play against... I can't remember who it was in my league match this week. I lost 2-1. They're playing a spicy list, actually, a red-white tokens list, like the sort of like the Convoke list from Pioneer. I was just the 2 games that I lost. I was basically half a turn too slow. I just couldn't keep the board under control enough. And they got me down, and it's like if I untap, I'm pretty sure I win this game, but I'm dead. So I think you
cut
could
those turns down.
Yeah, if you get lucky and you get a quick start against these sorts of decks, you're fine. But they do have a lot of life gain, like Virtual Persistence gains life, Herd Migration gains life, the Archangels gaining you life. There's just a bunch of that stuff, and then they're just wiping the board with Sunfalls and spitting out blockers and whatever. So there's definitely a lot of game to it. Cool deck, but a lot of fun to play.
Nice. I will try and remember to pack all my counter spells against you.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm playing blue, so there's counters in the sideboard. It's all good.
Yeah. What do you think's in my sideboard? More counter spells.
Yep. It is also worth mentioning fellow Australian, Anthony Lee, who made it into the top 8 of Worlds, so very, very impressive.
Did. Playing the Golgari mid-range list.
Yeah, which, did you get to see it on camera?
I did, yeah. So I watched the match where he played against Reed, and I also watched the match where he played... who was he playing in the semis? I forget. He was playing someone. I think he was playing Simon?
Anyway. Semis was... No, JED.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, it was too. I actually really like the look of this, honestly.
Yeah.
It's doing some really cool things. This has actually got like a bunch of new cards and cards that you're apparently allowed to play again, like Liliana of the Veil. And Liliana soloed Reed in one of their games, which was absolutely disgusting. But Mosswood Dread Knight, which we talked about a lot. Yeah, turns out that card is as good as everyone thought it would be. Just in this deck where, drawing cards and then just recurring 3/2. And he's just packing so much removal. There's just so many ways to interact, with like Virtual Persistence, go for the throats, tear us under, cut down. Like there's just so many different ways that you're like clearing the board. And 3/2 is just get in, man. Like it just does the thing. But it's also his card draw. So really impressed by that. Also, the other card that really impressed me a lot is the Blossoming Tortoise.
Why is it a turtle? Aren't tortoises and turtles different things?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I guess it's because we already have turtles.
Do we need to clarify
in
further?
Magic, but why didn't they call it Blossoming Turtle?
I don't know. It doesn't roll off the tongue as well. But yeah, this one, when ATBs or attacks, it mills 3, and then you return a land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So it ramps. It is 4 mana for a 3/3. But it also activated abilities of lands you control cost 1 less to activate, and land creatures you control get +1/+1. So the Restless Cottage just becoming a 5/5 for 3 mana is huge. Like, it gets in.
Yeah, and it makes food.
It makes food, and you get to exile a card from a graveyard. So if you're playing against any, like, Reanimator stuff, you can just kind of chain it together really, really nicely. You just get to mill it over with your turtle, and then fire it up the next turn and attack them for, 8+. So, yeah, really strong. Just doing Golgari things. I don't know what else there is to say.
Yep. Super grindy, but yeah, did really well. So yeah, good job, Anthony, and good to see an Aussie up in the top 8. He's from over in Perth and does a podcast with Javier Dominguez and Andrea Mengucci. So you can go and check them out. It's a
couple of scrubs.
Magic with the Carnies. Yep, those guys got no idea what they're doing when it comes to Magic. We're definitely way better than them. Yep. Can't say that with a straight face.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, we did get the win rate sort of breakdown from Frank Carsten, which is interesting. I mean, there was 105 players, so it's a decent sized field, but it's not enormous. It's not PT size. So, like, looking at the win rates, the top deck is Band Control with 87.5% win rate. And you're like, whoa, that is massive. But that is a 7-1 record, which comes from the one player who made top 8.
Yep, Greg Orange.
Greg Orange. So,
who's, just
a control player. Master.
Yep, expert. Yep.
So what else stands out to you in the win rates? So,
Simic Cauldron, which is apparently did it right. It went
again, one player again. One player,
yeah. So, yeah, not actually a sample size that matters. Esper Midrange is probably the actual, like, most significant, which had a 58% win rate. And then you've got, Domain Ramp, Mono White Humans, Soldiers, Sack, and then Grixis Midrange. That must have been a single player again. Mono Blue Cauldron, that's 2 players, I guess.
2 players, yep. Actually, I think it was 3.
Okay. But then they all just kind of drop right off there. Golgari Midrange, 50%. I mean, I guess that's what you sign up for, right? Like,
yeah.
It is
it's the ultimate.
It's the 50-50 deck. It played out 20-20, exactly how you think.
Yeah,
so, and then it just kind of falls off a cliff.
Interestingly, there you got Esper Legends with a 46.5% win rate, even though that is the deck that won the tournament. So, obviously, in the hands of a very good player like JED, the win rates go up, but there's a bunch of people there pulling that win rate down.
Yeah, and look, that's the problem. Not the problem. That's the tricky thing with looking at just like the top 8 deck lists. Is just going, oh well, like Esper Legends must be the best deck in the format. It's like, I mean, I don't think so. It doesn't look like it, and certainly like this additional information is pretty handy to see because there's so many different factors into winning a tournament. But
it's definitely worthwhile looking at these sort of win rates and looking at the higher played decks like your SP Midrange, your Domain Ramps, your Humans, and that sort of thing that have got higher match counts and seeing those win rates. So that's where you go. Yeah, okay. Esper Legends, it's 43 matches, 46% win rate. That's pretty bad. Yeah, the Golgari Midrange is 40 matches, 50%. That's pretty bad. But yeah, like your Esper Midrange, your Domain Ramps, like Esper Midrange had 90 something matches. Domain Ramp was 46. So they're good sample sizes, and they're still coming in at 58 and 56%. So that's quite good. Gives you a good indicator that the deck was good.
What wasn't good though, Shorty? You already said it. Mono Red, 15 and 22, down at 40%, 40.5.
Yeah, not good at all.
Yeah. It's a 0-4 against the mono, 0% against Mono White Humans. It goes all right against the Esper deck and the Ramp deck by the looks of it, and then just horrible against everything else.
Yeah, I had a bit of a look through as many mono red lists as I could because that's what I do, and the lists they're a bit more creature based. They're not like there was a bunch of lists that were playing like 2 lightning strikes, or they might play 4 lightning strikes, but only like 2 play with fires, and there isn't the burn. We've got, no one was playing like Stoke the Flames type thing. Like no one's playing actual burn.
Yeah.
So when you go up against the similar decks, your mono white humans that are creature based, you just don't have the burn to kill their creatures and keep them off the board and get your attackers through like you sort of have in standards past. So they do fine when they go up against the slow decks because they're still super aggressive with their creatures, and you just kind of hoping that you can get them dead before they play a sweeper. But when your opponent's got blockers, and especially if those blockers end up bigger than your creatures, you just can't win because you just can't clear out those blockers. So the mono red needs to go back to the drawing board to sort of find a different way to be built, and maybe we'll see that percentage come up, because you kind of need decks like that in this sort of format to be able to put that pressure on the decks that are trying to go over the top, your domain ramps and that sort of thing, if there's nothing putting pressure on them when they can just sort of sit around and do whatever they want.
Yeah, I guess the mono white humans is kind of filling that role a little more.
Yeah, but I don't want to play mono white, Cracker. It's
no
got a bunch of planes in it.
Yeah, I know. It's
Who
awful.
wants to play planes?
Who wants to play Thalia?
Ugh, gross.
Tyres, I'm looking at you.
I mean, Polywaffle's got a picture of Thalia up on his wall, so I guess probably him.
We did buy it for him. But that's really good art. I like the art of that one. Yeah, I agree. And look, the more that if the ramp decks pick up popularity and continue stretching to be the race to the bigger deck, then that's when, mono red will have its day.
Yep. All right, so there was an article that came out with some spicy lists, the 8 spiciest decks at Worlds.
Yep.
What are we got in here, Cracker? What are the options of people? I mean, let's just ignore the win percentages of these decks because they're all low.
Do I look at the bottom of the table here? Because I think that's where... Actually, that's not true. The second most winningest deck is the Simic Cauldron list here.
Yes, with one player.
Which is Simic with a dragon, a red dragon.
Yep.
Yeah, the Cauldron list. And then there's a mono blue Cauldron. So, Cauldron...
What are these Cauldron lists doing? I know Cauldron's been showing up in like Modern.
Yeah, a lot.
And I think in Pioneer as well. So this is a weird card, and man, it's going to lead to some complicated board states. So I'm just going to read it quickly just to remind people. So it's 2 mana, Agatha's Soul Cauldron, legendary artifact. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate abilities of creatures you control. Creatures you control with a +1/+1 counter, or with +1/+1 counters on them, have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, and then you can tap it to exile target card from a graveyard. And when a creature card is exiled this way, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So you are exiling stuff out of the graveyard. Yep, fantastic. It's 2 mana, you exile a card, and it's a target card. So, yep, that's certainly good. It's graveyard hate, but you're exiling creature cards to put counters on your own creatures, and then you're doing weird stuff. So what are we doing, Cracker?
I mean, mostly we're just trying to make infinite mana.
Sure.
I think that's basically just mostly what it comes down to, right? Like that's kind of the thing. So this Simic list is trying to so you're trying to put something in that has like an activated ability. So Sleeped Cursed Fairy is one we're looking at here, which is the 1 mana 3/3 Flying War 2, but it enters with 3 stun counters on it. So and then it has an activated ability of 1 and a blue to untap the Sleeped Cursed Fairy. So if you have that in your graveyard and you exile it under the Agatha's Soul Cauldron and you put a +1/+1 counter on another creature, then it doesn't have any of the stun counters, right? Like it just skips that whole ETB thing and it just has the activated ability. So it doesn't become like a copy of that creature. It doesn't get its power and toughness or anything like that, just the activated abilities. And any creatures that have got any +1/+1 counters get that ability. So in this case, you're trying to put some +1/+1 counters on the Kami of Whispered Hopes, that all-star card. Basically, you just tap it, and then it puts additional +1/+1 counters on it, and then it says add X mana of any one color, where X is the Kami of Whispered Hopes power. So you tap it, you add 2 blue, which you then use to untap with the Sleep Cursed Fairy. So then you tap it again, and it gets another +1/+1 counter on it, right? And so you can just generate infinite mana. So you net 1 mana each time. So you basically go through a cycle of making, you say, I'm going to make, in paper, this is a lot easier than an arena. You just go, I'm going to make, 10,000 blue mana, and then using my 10,000 blue mana, I'm going to make, 8,000 red mana and 8,000 green mana, and you just kind of go through that. And so then, I don't know, man, they're trying to play a giant dragon. It looks like their Realm Scorcher Hellkite. So you can just draw your deck, basically, as well. And then you just play this giant dragon, which has an activated ability. It says 1 and a red, Hellkite. Realm Scorcher Hellkite deals 1 damage to any target. So you don't even have to draw it. You can just exile that with another Soul Cauldron. Even though it's legendary, you can just kind of...
Yeah, you play more of them and they come in untapped. More of them.
Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, so you've got Rona, which has the activated ability tap, loot, draw a card, discard a card. So yeah, once you've got your infinite mana, which is not hard to do because the Kami puts an extra +1/+1 counter on a permanent. So it's basically like hardened scales. So all you need is a Kami on the battlefield and an Agatha Soul Cauldron, and you exile a Sleep Curse Fairy from your graveyard, which you've got a couple of cards that are milling you and doing that sort of stuff. And then straight away, like as soon as you go to put 1 counter on the Kami, you're putting 2 on there, which means its power is 3, and you now have infinite mana because you're +1, and it costs you 2 to untap. So you're just making infinite mana.
Yep.
And you don't. It doesn't really matter when you're comboing the colors because the Soul Cauldron lets you spend mana of any color for the things. But yeah, you draw your deck.
Right. Okay. There you go.
Yep. Draw your deck, and then you just Realm Scorcher Hellkite to kill people. So
sure.
Yeah. Crazy deck.
Apparently, it wins pretty good. If you're that guy, because no one has any idea what is going on. I think that is the secret upside of that one.
Yep.
Then there's the mono blue version.
Yep.
Which seems even more complicated.
Yep.
Because it doesn't have the Kami, but it uses Training Grounds and Omen Hawker.
Training Grounds. Who would have thought we'd have
here we go.
Actually seeing play.
Are. That's it.
Training Grounds. If you can't remember Training Grounds, it's a single blue for an enchantment. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost up to 2 less to activate. It can't be less than 1. So, yeah, you've got Hypnotic Grifters, which is 3 mana to connive. You got Omen Hawkers, which is a 3 mana ability. No, taps and adds 3 mana. Yeah, Realm Scorchers, Surge Engines.
It adds 1 and a blue, but yeah, you can kind of do the same thing. You're untapping your thing and drawing cards. I don't know.
Crazy.
It's a thing. Hang on, let me find the win rate on that one. It actually wasn't too bad, was it? It was 52% for that person that played it.
I think that was 3. I think I remember seeing that 3 people played that list.
Yeah. I like Alexander Haynes' list, which is Azorius tokens, mostly because it's got just Regal Bunnycorn. And that card's great.
Well, Simon Nielsen's list also had Regal Bunnycorn.
It did. Yeah.
But yeah, this is just spitting out a bunch of tokens and sort of going wide and ending up with a big Regal Bunnycorn that's power and toughness equal to the number of non-land permanents you control. This is the new Goyf, apparently. Sure. It's a star. Yep.
And they get real big. I mean, there's no way to give it trample or anything, but, I guess it's just the Abyss.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting list. There's some Rakdos Sack, which we haven't seen for ages, but yeah, did you know that Oni Colt Anvil is still in Standard, Cracker?
I tell you what card I'm surprised we're not seeing a lot of still is Bloodtithe Harvester, because that card's still real good.
Yeah, that is in this list. But
it is in this list, but just like in the other lists and things.
I'd also like to know what Annihilating Glare is, but apparently that's an art card, according to
it is.
Site. Yep, that's useful. Yep,
I could tell you it's a costs black. It's a sorcery.
I could also tell you that, Cracker.
Shota was playing the fairies.
Of course. Surprise.
With his... This is so disrespectful. Fairy Mastermind, which has got his face on it, right?
Is Rona.
Is Rona in this thing. Like, come on. the man won the world championship to get his name.
That was Utah. That's Utah.
Oh, it was Utah. That's right. It was Yuta Takahashi, wasn't it? I'm not sure. Yes. So, whatever. It's still unbelievable.
We thought there might be a fairies deck. I don't know if you've actually looked at. I think you were looking at trying to build one, but I don't know that it has all the cards yet.
Talked about it. I don't think so, and whether it actually ever gets there. I mean,
he went 0-4. So
listen, man, they've called it fairies, but it's got 3 Shieldreds, 2 Graveyard Trespassers, and I guess there's 10 fairies in it. But
I mean, Wizards has to get pretty creative when it comes to their deck names, just to make things sound a little bit more interesting.
That's true. That's true. Also, yeah. I'm also just a little confused here. Where's the Sultai part?
I don't know.
It's got Restless Cottage. Okay. So we have no green cards in the main deck or the sideboard.
A couple of green lands.
But we've got some creature lands because there's no Dimir creature land at the moment.
Yeah, that's basically it.
That's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah,
anyway.
Apparently Domain Control is a spicy list, despite it top 8ing with pretty much the same lists. Like a little bit more controlling this version.
This one's got the Celestis in it, though.
Yep.
Invasion of Alara, which was like the big hotness for 5 minutes at the start of the release.
We spoke about this list on the podcast last time with Chewy because he's been playing a bit of this list with the sort of cascading into your Bramble Familiars and casting the other side, which is pretty cool. But yeah,
and there's Wandering Mind in this Reanimator list.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I feel like I should be playing that card in my is it not?
Yeah, probably.
No, I don't think so.
So yeah, a few spicy lists there, but none of them with sort of really good showings. And I don't know how many of them can actually sort of make their way through this mid-range soup meta that we've got. So Standard's going to be in a funny place for quite a while, I think. You know, we've still got nearly a year, pretty much a year until we're going to see any sort of rotation. So I don't really see the next sets that are coming out having a huge impact. I think they're just going to make existing decks more powerful.
I think they're going to make them more mid-range.
Yes. If you can get more mid-range, then yeah.
Probably not. But, you know, look, some people love it. I mean, you know, like, it's fine.
And the pros love it.
Yeah.
But we're not the pros.
Nah, that's okay. We don't have to love it. I tell you what, I have been watching. If you're done with Worlds,
yeah. I had one other topic I want to discuss on Worlds.
Yeah.
So,
the concessions. Yeah,
so,
I watched it.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up. So I watched a little bit like the last round of day 1, and I think the last 1 or 2 rounds of day 2, and oh boy, was there a bunch of awkward things on camera. So the end of day 1 ended with Utah versus Willie Adel. And they went to time. No one was a clear winner of the match. And they're on camera. And you basically just have 2 guys just sitting there awkwardly looking at each other going, I think you should concede because this reason. And basically the reason that Willie Adel gave was, hey, you've already won Worlds. So it basically puts Utah in this awkward situation of like, he can be a jerk and go, no, I'll take the draw. Both players are 3-3. Yep. You needed 4 wins to make day 2. So if they have a draw, both players are out of day 2. So it pays for one of them to concede. Before
you go on though, it was a draw.
It was a draw. Yes.
So it wasn't just they went time. They were at end of turn 5, and it was a draw.
Yeah.
Right, like 100%. And so the judges are there saying, you know, hey, you guys can chat for a minute, but I need to make a decision. As it stands, it is a draw.
Yes.
And so Willie, they were both on super low life totals. Yuta was on 7, and Willie cast a Herd Migration for full value on his last turn. So Yuta was facing down lethal, and he went to draw his next card, and the judge was like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So that you can't touch anything.
You can't even look at the next card. No.
Yeah, correct. Because it could.
You can show your hands, but that's it. You can't.
Yes. Yeah. Correct.
You can't look at further cards and go, oh yeah, I would have won, or you would have won, or whatever.
Well, and so that was the thing. Willie's just there going, hey, like, I would win next turn. I have lethal on board. You know, like, I don't think there's anything in your deck that you can draw that will get you out of this spot.
Yeah.
And you just sitting there. I mean, there's also some language barrier stuff going on. I mean, Willie's first language is Portuguese. I'm pretty sure he's Brazilian, right?
Yeah, he's from
Yuta's
Brazil.
Japanese, so he's so like there's that going on. And yeah, Willie was just, I don't know that he was wrong for doing it. Like, it is strictly speaking best for one of them to concede.
Yeah.
But oh man, that was gross.
It was really awkward. And the same thing happened on day 2. The last couple of rounds of day 2, there was scenarios where, because we're playing mid-range games go to time, and you're left in these situations where it's like, hey, if we take a draw, neither of us make top 8. Mm-hmm. So one of us needs to concede, and the judges are coming over going, hey, look, just letting you know, the match is a draw unless you guys tell me otherwise. And you're going to have to tell me pretty quickly, otherwise we're just going to say it's a draw. And it just puts these players in these horrible situations where they are on camera and the commentators are just sitting there going, oh, yeah, this is, blah, blah, and they're trying to, like, have a little bit of banter or whatever. And there's this awkward conversation on camera of people trying to work out if someone's going to concede or not. And it is horrible.
Just shouldn't happen.
It should never happen. And I had a little bit of a conversation about this with Chris on the weekend. Most games don't have this as a thing. So, like I said, I played Battle Spirits on the weekend. Mm-hmm. There's some weird rules in Battle Spirits, like the Mulligan rules, really strange. But the end of game is also a little bit strange. But they have a tiebreaker system. So the match ends, there's like extra turns, and then you run out of time. And if there's still no winner, there's a tiebreaker system that counts. There's like 3 or 4 tiebreaker things that it counts down so that you have a winner. You 100% have a winner. And there's a little bit of gaming in that. Like if you understand those tiebreaker rules better than your opponent, when you go into that third match, because often what I've seen happen is you play play game 1, player A wins, play game 2, player B wins, and it happens like right at the end of time or right at the end of the match, and you're about to start game 3, but you're effectively in turns, which you can do, and it pays to know those tiebreaker rules because it changes, how you mulligan, it changes if you decide to go first or not, and those sorts of things because it does actually matter. So, but the end result is there is a winner. There is never a draw. There is always a winner, which means you never have these scenarios. And so it just seems so much better.
Yeah, yes, I agree. I don't hate that there are draws, but there shouldn't be an opportunity to have a conversation. So you reach the end of turn 5. That's it. Game is done. That's it. We have a draw. That is the end of it. There shouldn't be
there shouldn't be an opportunity to concede.
No. And like IDing is another really bad
I'm not
thing.
A fan of IDing.
The only time I think IDing is good is at pre-releases, so you both get a pack. Apart from that, IDing is horrible, but these it had, dramatic implications, because then Yuta didn't make day 2. Yeah. Willie went on to top 8.
Yeah, there's a massive cash difference there.
Yeah, exactly. That's correct. Exactly right. And I think someone in the Discord was saying it's probably like a $3,000 decision kind of either way. Like a loss is actually significantly worse as well. So, oh man, just don't let it happen.
Yeah.
If you reach the end of turn 5 and there is no game state, then particularly on camera, the judge will be like, "Yep, it's a draw. Thanks for coming."
Yeah. Yeah. You either need to have just flat out it is a draw, but then the problem is that then you're going to have players go, well, like while we're in our turns, let's have the discussion and that sort of thing. So there's that. Your other option is, so you either have a tiebreaker system or you have to do like a sudden death thing. Like and this was an idea that Chris had. When we played like the side events at RCs.
Well, that wasn't even the side event. That was the last chance qualifiers.
Yeah. That's
have to have a winner.
Where you have to have a winner, and so if you go to time and there's no winner, then we go to a sudden death match, which is going to take almost no time, and you play it out, and it's basically the first life loss that person
or
loses.
Gains.
So or gain.
Yep.
The problem with that is if you've got to do that, if you've got a 500 person tournament and you've got 100 matches that go to time, there's 100 extra little mini games that have to be played, and that's just painful. Like, it's going to take forever. So it's hard. I don't know what, like, the conceding and the IDing and all that sort of stuff has just been such a big part of Magic for so long. I don't know how you change it, but you can change it. Other games don't have that. So yeah, like I mean, like one of the things in Battle Spirits, I think the first tiebreaker is like basically your life. So that's pretty obvious. It's like, well, you're on more life than me. Okay, well, you win. I can't remember. I think the second one is something to do with your cores, which is kind of like your mana system. But I think the third tiebreaker is actually how many cards you have left in your deck as one of the tiebreakers. So
whoa. That just means that someone's playing badly because they're not drawing extra cards. I've got less cards in my deck. I
can't remember if it's which way it is, if you've got more or less. But yeah, there is a tiebreaker. That's the point. You never have these situations because it's built into the rules. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because it was horrible to have that on camera, and they should have just
cut back to the desk.
They really should have just cut away and just gone, okay, the players are going to work out the resolution of that. And
we'll come back to you with the results in a minute once we know.
We'll come back with an answer.
Not just sit there staring at poor Yuta trying to work out whether he was actually going to do it or not. So
it was not good. So anyway, is what it is. It is a part of Magic, and would like to see it gone, but there's probably more important things.
Yeah, there's actual things
like
that we
going
can
back to a 2-year rotation.
Yeah. Let's not worry about
fixing standard. Wizards released an article.
Oh, they did. Yeah, I watched the summary of it. They've done nothing.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I did see Huey was on camera awkwardly with some flashcards trying to explain how they are, revitalizing standard.
Okay.
What's the footnotes, Cracker? What are they actually doing?
There's going to be a standard Pro Tour sometime. Yep. There's going to be more... they're just pushing standard as, like, the events to play. So there's more stuff in-game. They're just putting more support in there. There's going to be RCs and stuff. It is more standard organised play is basically the summary of it.
Right. And that fixes the format?
I guess it gives people a reason to want to play it, which previously they just haven't had. So that was just kind of the main thing there. People have just been playing either Modern or Pioneer for so long. Yeah. That was about it.
Yep. Yeah, well, they took standard, well, they didn't take standard away, but just the timing-wise of the RC seasons and the actual RCs. We had, Pioneer, and then we had Modern, and then we went back to Pioneer, I think, again, and then I think we're going back to Modern again. Like, we just have had ages where, there hasn't been a reason to play standard. And exactly like I said, like, if there's no reason for people to be playing standard, then they just stop playing standard. So
yeah.
Yes,
correct.
it will help. It will help in terms of increasing standard play. I don't think that actually fixes anything to do with the format, though.
No, that's a whole different conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway.
Oh, is what it is.
It is. There is more stuff to chat about. We are running out of time. There's one thing I want to talk about, because we were talking about the Agatha's Cauldron before.
Yep.
And I've been watching a bunch of people who've been playing with it in Modern. And, oh boy, is there some nonsense you can get up to in Modern with that. So, did you know that Grist...
Yeah. It's a creature.
Is a creature.
With activated abilities.
Yep. So if you exile that with the Cauldron and you have a creature like, I don't know, Grumgully in play. So Grumgully says whenever a non-human creature enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. So you have a Grist underneath the Cauldron, and then another creature in play with a +1/+1 counter, and then you plus it and you make an insect. And then that enters with a +1/+1 counter on it, which means you get to plus it and make an insect. So
I see where this is going.
That's what you call an infinite loop. Grist being a creature has annoyed me so much.
It's a really cool design, but it just seems to come up in these corner cases where it's like, oh man,
it's so weird that it's a creature everywhere else. So like on the stack, you're like, I'll negate it. No, you won't. Like, you can't. Like, there's just a bunch of weird. It's just weird. But yeah, so I saw Caleb D was brewing around with that, And then Aspiring Spike has been playing like a million different versions. There's like mono white Heliod combo lists with, Ballista and Heliod and a bunch of stuff you can do there. And then, like a lot of food decks as well. So like Asmo stuff kind of popping off there. So if the Cauldron decks seem like fun and standard, then go check out some of Spike's Twitch VODs or YouTube channel. I highly recommend his stuff. I find it very entertaining. But
I've heard that there's just a bunch of. It's one of those. It's getting played in Yawgmoth. It's one of those decks where it's like,
yeah, correct.
If you know all the stuff, you're going to do really well. But if you just pick that deck up and play, like you're going to be missing so many small interactions and things where it's like, I can do this and then do this and then do this and do and whatever. And it's like, goodness me, that's way too big brain for me. I'll just play Burn or whatever.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's anyway. I thought that was cool. That card seems really great. And obviously Beanstalk seeing a bunch of play in Modern as well, which we all knew was going to happen.
Yes. I've been hearing a lot of chatter about beans. Lots of people going on about, it's all beans in Modern. It's like, we've been here for a while. We're kicking around.
That's it. But, there's a bunch of other new cards coming out, Shorty, that have been previewed. Yeah. And I know that this is a movie of my childhood, The Princess Bride.
So this is so random.
it's mega random, and I'm here for it. So it is the renamed set sort of thing.
The Godzilla treatment.
Exactly. So there's like Wesley Dread Pirate Roberts, which is actually like Finn the Fangbearer and that sort of stuff. So they're just really cool art. If you like the movie, then like Pack Rat is rodents of unusual size, which is just brilliant. But just very clever sort of things.
I sent these to my wife, and it was like, "Is this what it takes to finally get you into Magic?" Because she's a massive Princess Bride fan. It's like, that looks interesting.
Well, that and all the Doctor Who cards that are coming out as well. I think we might get a.
Maybe. Yep. So there was at the MagicCon Worlds thing, there was a bunch of panels and all that sort of stuff, and along with that was a bunch of previews of cards. So it's more Doctor Who previews, which I think possibly next podcast will be we'll try and get J Mud on, and maybe you and I, because I think you're a little bit of a Doctor Who fan. We can try and talk our way through those, because there's a lot of really cool cards. The Princess Bride stuff, and apparently we're getting Evil Dead crossover as well.
Sure.
As in, like Ash with the chainsaw hand, like
why not?
Boomstick, all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. And then they started previewing a bunch of stuff from Ixalan. So there was Jurassic Park.
Yep.
Things as well.
Listen, man, there's an Ian Malcolm card. Like, how does this get better than that? Is it Ian Malcolm card? Hello, my next commander deck. I don't even know what he does. I don't care. This is what we're doing. I mean, Jurassic Park, again, like, this is our childhood, right?
Yeah, I mean, Wizards know their audience. They know correct. There's a whole bunch of Magic players that are currently like 35 to 45 sort of age group, which means that, they've got careers, they're settled in their lives, that sort of stuff. They have this thing called disposable income, apparently.
Yeah.
And they all love their, 80s and 90s nostalgia stuff, the movies and things that they grew up on, the video games, all that sort of stuff. Let's just keep pumping things out to those people, because they're going to buy it.
Listen, I don't want to say that it might start working, but it might start working, because
I mean, I'm buying the Doctor Who one. So.
Yeah, exactly. 40K wasn't my thing, but Transformers, not so much, but Jurassic Park, man. I lived and breathed dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And that
has not rubbed off on your children at all.
No, not at all. There's literally a card that's a saga. That's the backside of it is Jurassic Park. Like, that's what it's called.
Yeah, very
legendary
cool.
land.
Yep.
Anyway, we will talk more about that as more of the set comes out and we get closer to it. There's already some cards in here that look pretty strong that are actually in the main set, which is sweet. New Golta, because, we need more mid-range cards. Golta's back. She's a 12/12 for 8 mana this time.
Oh, nice.
And when it enters the battlefield, you may put any number of creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield.
Right.
Not cast, Shorty. I don't know if you picked up on that. It's an ETB.
Okay. You don't get cast triggers, but you get ETB triggers. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but that means you can blink it and reanimate it. And there's
I mean, you're going to have an empty hand pretty soon, so you need somewhere to draw some cards. But yeah, that sounds good. And there is Cavern of Souls, which we have not confirmed is legal or not.
We can't tell.
We'll see.
There's 8 different versions on the website, and I'm not sure which ones are legal. We're pretty confident that the 6 different versions of Mana Crypt are not going to be in the main set.
No, I would hope not. But you never know with Wizards.
You really don't.
You never know. All right, so one other thing to mention, sort of on the way out, there is another Arena Championship on next weekend. So this is sort of the Arena Pro Tour type thing, 32 players, so small field. This time it is Wilds of Eldraine Draft and then Historic constructed. So still hear a lot of people talking about really enjoying Historic, despite all the alchemy cards that are in there. And obviously, Chewy and I spoke about the other week about the play percentages, and Historic is second to standard. So yeah, could be a good format. I'm assuming there is coverage and commentary and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, if you're interested in that, give it a crack and see what's going on in Historic. Maybe we should have another look at Historic one day, Cracker, as a league format or something. Yeah, we could do the Envious Historic. Nah, that's a bad idea. we wouldn't know the cards to commentate on it.
It doesn't matter. We don't know in standard anyway. We could start with a one-day event maybe and see if people like it.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
So, usual wrap-up. Our league is underway. You can still join if you've missed joining. You can still jump in. The good thing with the structure that we've got currently going is you've got quite a few weeks to play this early stage, and we can just throw you in there. So if you've missed it or you're just hearing about it for the first time, you can jump into that league and we'll throw you into a group. So we're nearly 2 weeks. We're a week and a half into the league already, and there is not that many matches played other than a whole bunch by Insanity, as is always the case.
Surprise.
Get in there and get cracking. Groups are a little bit smaller this time. I reckon if you can manage to squeeze out like 4 or 5 wins, you're probably going to make top 10. So get in there, play some matches, and have a bit of fun, because it's always a good time. And yeah, if you haven't gotten in that and you want to and you don't know how to, you need to be in our Discord. So come and join us in there, say good day, and join the awesome community. There is links in the show notes for our merch store. As always, you can go buy some Magic Beans gear and deck yourself out for your next tournament. And you can go and buy your cards that you need for that next tournament from Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar. Just go to jpmtgbazaar.com.au and it'll take you straight to the Facebook group so you can join up and check out the daily auctions. If you want to find us anywhere, just go to magicbeanscast.com and you'll find links for YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter/X. If you would like to find me on that platform, I'm at PSync, and you are, Cracker?
At JoelHill_.
Very good. So that's going to do us for this week. Thank you, as always, for listening. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.